It's hard to believe, but we have reached the regular season finale in our inaugural year of high school boys volleyball. The Spring Lake Park Panthers picking up their first 20-win season as a high school program. They hope to make it their first 21-win season, and they'll do that if they can beat the Blaine Bengals in a Northwest Suburban Conference tilt that also has section implications on the line. These are both Section 7 teams. As you know, boys volleyball, just a single class sport to start as a high school league sanctioned activity. Spring Lake Park, there I am, Mike Peden. Spring Lake Park has the 1 seed pretty much locked up as they get ready to take on Blaine, but a Bengals victory could shake up this seeding a bit. We'll have to watch what happens with Spring Lake Park. They've been one of the under the radar teams. They've been ranked 9th in the state for most of the season. One of the sleepers, and a reason for that, actually 2 big reasons, Remy Zhang and Gabe Molitor. Zhang 4th in the state in kills, Molitor right behind in 5th. Zhang and Molitor also in the top 10 in aces and digs. Number 21 and 23, they can do it all. And Hector Lee 10th in the state in assists. He leads that 4-2 formation as we get underway. We'll get you names and numbers as we make our way through. And our first points will go to Blaine. Cooper Brower. Blaine 13-9. A win here would give them 5 victories out of the last 6. Spring Lake Park lost the first 2 games, then reeled off 8 in a row. And that would be a service. No, that's an ace. That made it the line. I stand corrected. So an ace for Blaine's Kingston Yang. Blaine, their attacking formation, their offense not quite as pronounced as Spring Lake Park's. Coming into this game, they only had 1 player over 100 kills, and Anders Larson. He and Cooper Brower are going to be the guys to watch. And in the service game, Yang, he's their leader. He just picked up his 20th ace of the year, and we have to get all the balls situated with our ball boys. And now we're ready to go. Yang serving short this time. Spring Lake Park goes to the left side. Blaine picks it up. They'll attack from the right. And they're off to a 3-0 start following the kill by Shashi Jong, number 19. You may have seen Spring Lake Park. We covered their victory over Centennial earlier this season on North Metro TV. And Spring Lake Park tries to attack from the right side. Blaine was ready. Here they come from the left. We'll try again. This time from the middle. Trying to get through that block. Spring Lake Park finds themselves staring at a 4-0 deficit. Second kill for Cooper Brower. Lal Farah has been trying to put a stop to this offense from the middle. Blaine working the edges. Farah sent away. And that stays in the field of play. I believe that was Brower with the block. $5-0. Blaine over Spring Lake Park. And tapping down the overpass is Brower again. The Bengals off to a blazingly hot start. I wish it were Monday, because then I could call it manic. I'll show myself out. Spring Lake Park will pick up the point on the net violation. As you know, boys volleyball officiated just like girls volleyball, so you cannot touch the net or cross it under any circumstance. And Spring Lake Park, they've got a deficit to work out of here, trailing 6-1, and that's not going to help. Annikas Molitor flings it too hard. 7-1, Blaine over Spring Lake Park. But you may recall in the Centennial match, Spring Lake Park had some slow starts, and then they reeled off some big rallies to get a straight set win. Right now, it's all Blaine. Shashi Zhang with the denial. Zhang, a senior. For the seniors, they will write the first chapter. Getting a chance to play for a state tournament. Farah hits it out of play. Nothing going right for Spring Lake Park at the moment. (9-1). Blaine 13-9. Scoring on the cut, Cullen Larson. That's the first kill for Spring Lake Park. You might have surmised that because they only have 2 points, but in case you came in late or maybe watching something else. For the Panthers, they've got some work to do. It is difficult but not impossible to come back from deficits like this. But it's proving tricky when Shashi Zhang is firing on all cylinders. The senior strikes again. As we said, Blaine winning 4 of their last 5, including a straight set win over Forest Lake yesterday. Spring Lake Park got jammed up on the set. Blaine has the free ball. Spring Lake Park's Gabe Molitor gets the dig. Gabe Molitor, 5th in the state in digs. Atticus, 5th in the state in kills, 6th in aces, and 1st in digs. A little quick set strike, but it does not cross. First error on Spring Lake Park, or excuse me, Blaine. This is Victor Gwynn serving for the Panthers. Overpass on the serve receive, and it goes off the foot and down. That is a point for Remy Zhang. We highlighted him just before the game started. 4th in the state in kills, 3rd in aces, 3rd in digs. He and Atticus Molitor, again, the do-everything duo. 10-5 the score. Zhang again had to send a free ball over. Blaine from the right side gets the teardrop to land. Shashi again. Coming in, hitting 139. None of the primary hitters for Blaine are hitting over 200. They're finding their spots right now, and that's what counts. As they hold on to a 6-point lead. I believe that was a neck contact. So Remy Zhang getting a reprieve. Sends a laser that Blaine sends back. Molitor couldn't get the kill, but the Panthers will pick up a point on the error by Brower, who tapped it a little too hard. And Spring Lake Park, after trailing by 8, working the margins here, now down 11-7. That will bounce off the net and out of play. Service error on Remy Zhang. And Spring Lake Park gets the point back. Anders Larson misfires. Bloomington Jefferson, the top-ranked program in boys volleyball in this week's poll. And that will go down as an ace as the serve receive bounced into the antenna for Isaiah Woodford. But that is the beauty and the beast as we approach the first ever state tournament. St. Thomas will host it. You really don't know what will transpire? It was not touched, so it will go down as a hitting error on Larson. And Spring Lake Park, they're back within 2. Woodford overshoots the mark. But Spring Lake Park trail 9-1. We've got ourselves more of a match here, I would say. Big cross-court hit, and that will sail out of play. Give the point to Simon Tran. 13-11.
Watch the volley. I'm bringing it back. I hadn't taken all the way out.
I had to retrieve a couple of balls. Now Hector Lee is ready to put this serve in play. In the back row, Jean got the dig. Atticus Molitor, his attack dug. Blaine from the left side. And Spring Lake Park wins that battle of the net. I believe Farah got the play. Panthers, one away from tying it. And we're even after Brower misfires. Blaine will take a timeout as Spring Lake Park has come all the way back from an early 9-1 deficit. We're now even at 13 in the first set. And as you know, it's best of 5. Really, the sport is played the same way as girls volleyball. You have your regular season matches, your weekend tournaments. And it all will culminate in the first ever state tournament at St. Thomas, Shawnacre Arena, which will remain as the volleyball home with the Leon Anderson complex close to completion. Blaine started the year a little up and down. They had a 5-game win streak, which included 4 straight 3-1 victories over Coon Rapids, Centennial, Mounds View, and Armstrong. But they've had some bumps along the way. They played a lot of tough opponents in what will be the final regular season game for them, unless there is a weekend tournament I'm not aware of. And again, a win here would give them 5 out of 6 to close out the regular season. Molitor still can't get going. Atticus Molitor, we spoke of his proficiency in multiple offensive categories. Haven't all come together yet. That's back-to-back hitting errors on Molitor. Molitor will try again, and his attack sent back. Then they go to Colin Larson. Blaine ready. This is Brower. An official's timeout for Shashi Zhang. He went down, and officials stopped play right away. We will replay the point. On the Spring Lake Park side, we mentioned lost the first 2 games, but they were 5 setters to Anoka and Andover, then won 8 straight. And we'll share some more details when we return.
Every day, thousands of kids start vaping. And I can't let this happen to my kid. So if you want to talk to your kids, you have to get it trending.
doing it wrong.
To the left. To the right. Let's go.
Can we talk?
Yeah, what's up?
Visit talkaboutvaping.org for tips on when and how to have the vape talk.
Shashi Zhang having to hop his way over to the training area as we resume play. Unable to put any weight on his right ankle. We'll have to see if he is able to return. He provided an early burst of offense for the Bengals. But they hold a 2-point lead right now. Again, the point that was stopped is being replayed due to the officials' timeout. Molitor still looking for his first kill. And he won't get it there, but Blaine concedes a point on the net violation. So Molitor, actually, there have been a couple of times where he was in position for an attack and didn't score a point, but helped create one on a net violation. Need a chance to talk to him. As Atticus Molitor hits it into the net again. He and so many others who have been playing club volleyball for all these years, thrilled to get the high school league sanction. They noted it makes travel logistics a lot easier. And Remy Jean sends a liner down the left side. He has a couple of kills unofficially. Spring Lake Park, they tied it up, but they have yet to take the lead. That serve really jams up Blaine, but a free ball coming. Lee up the middle. Woodford slams it down. And we're even again. That's Gabe Molitor, the libero, and here's another look at that vicious heave by Woodford, the middle hitter. Gabe paints the line. And for the first time in this set, Spring Lake Park is in front. They trailed 9-1. Typically, when you're down by 7 or 8, it is really difficult to climb out of that hole. But Spring Lake Park has done it, partially because of Blaine miscues. That will go to Spring Lake Park. Couldn't quite see with the official in front, but I'm not about to ask him to crouch so I can see. His vantage point a little more important than mine. Gabe Molitor on the serve. Blaine says enough of this. Anders Larson scores with authority, his first kill. Blaine used up a timeout. Spring Lake Park still has both of theirs. Lee had to race to get it. Zhang squeezes it through. And this is what we spoke of in the open. With a program like Spring Lake Park, even though we haven't heard much about them, again, this is the first year that high school volleyball is a sanctioned sport. In the past, it was played at the club level. But the Panthers have one of the more varied and diverse offensive units as Woodford scores there. Woodford got Blaine with a little changeup. He was in position. And now Zhang in position to tap down that overpass. I was going to say Woodford was in position to fire a heater and got Blaine to blink. Bengals use up their second timeout of the first set. 21-17. Spring Lake Park taking command after trailing 9-1. And they got some help early. There were a couple of times Blaine touched the net. And they've been getting a lot of help offensively from the likes of Zhang, Woodford with a couple of kills, and that goes back to what I was saying. Having that diversified branch for Spring Lake Park gives them an edge in a lot of their matchups. Remy Zhang and Atticus Molitor neck and neck in kills. Zhang, the slightly better hitter, hitting 264, Molitor 215. And then you go to assists. Lee, 10th in the state at 430. Victor Nguyen, 273. Blaine running that 4-2 formation. And even Remy Zhang has over 100 assists on the year. Aces, Zhang, Molitor, both of them have racked up a few. And then Gay Molitor and Remy Zhang and Atticus, all exceptional defenders as well. They lead the team in digs. You don't see that a lot in girls volleyball, as we get a service error on Victor Nguyen. That will concede a point to Blaine. That has been a sore spot for the Panthers, and one reason they dug themselves that early hole. That is their 5th service error unofficially in set 1. Zhang able to get underneath that serve, but a free ball coming Blaine's way. They go to the left side. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night, says Anders Larson. That's worth another glimpse. And then a service error. And the ball back to Spring Lake Park. That was just the second. That was Calvin Buffo, who started in JV, but has moved his way up to varsity. We'll probably see him a lot more, and Remy Zhang wants that one back. It happens to the best of us, though, even for someone like Zhang and Atticus Molitor, who lead the team in aces, but they also have a few errors along the way. It can be tricky to get it down, and Atticus Molitor finally gets an attack to go down. He'd been trying and scratching and clawing and scraping and huffing and puffing. And he's 2 points away from blowing Blaine's house down in set number 1. Woodford serving. Brower. Attack picked up by Zhang. Molitor again. Back row dig by Larson. Now he attacks. Woodford with the up. The pass was a little strong, and Blaine pounces. Cooper Brower with his 4th kill of set 1. Blaine out of timeout. Spring Lake Park has both of theirs. Win to Molitor, got it. Atticus awakening, and if that is a sign of his emergence, that is bad news for Blaine and a lot of other opponents. We mentioned Spring Lake Park. Their first 2 games were losses, but those were 5-setters. So on a few occasions, they've been able to hold their own against some of the top programs in the conference and in the state. 3 set points to work for Spring Lake Park, and they will use up one of them on the net violation. Kingston Yang serving for Blaine. Got a low one down. Yang had to race to pick up that set, which he does. Molitor looking for the finish, didn't get it. Lee back to Molitor. That did not cross. Spring Lake Park will take a timeout. Blaine not finished yet. They still have to fight off one more set point. But this is a big one, 24-23. As Blaine is determined to convince everyone here, at least those wearing the Columbia blue and navy blue, that they're never going to give this one up. We'll be moving into playoff coverage after today. In fact, softball in their first week of section playoff action. So stay tuned for programming updates on North Metro TV. And don't forget, in July, we have one of our annual rituals, the USA Cup from the National Sports Center. Not to mention parades, graduations, a whole lot coming your way on North Metro TV. We hope to see you there. And if you can't follow us live, you can follow us on our YouTube channel or on our website. To rewatch your favorite moments, right now Blaine trying to etch another one. It's still set point for Spring Lake Park. Molitor got the cross-court shot to go. And after a slow start, Atticus rises up and nets the first set for Spring Lake Park after Blaine made it close, 25-23. Spring Lake Park taking the first set.
Sit and chat and drink coffee, then maybe we could see if we could be. You and me. Let's get together and make believe we'll share our hearts and share our dreams. Now what do you think about you and me? Maybe we can be forever you, forever with me. I bet you're thinking I'm a little too romantic. Oh, but baby, now don't get frantic, 'cause when I love, my loving's gigantic. Oh, and I think that's alright. Let me dream, oh, a girl can dream, and maybe it's not as crazy as it seems. Me loving you, you loving me right back. And now cut me some slack.
Spring Lake Park taking set one after trailing by 8. 9-1 was the deficit. And what changed? The offense. That is what changed. It took Spring Lake Park a while to record their first kill, but unofficially, once they found their groove and got their attacking in sync, they ended up outpacing Blaine. Unofficially, 12-9 is what I have. And that allowed Spring Lake Park to get a 2-point win when early indications suggested they were in dire straits. Spring Lake Park also had 6 service errors. That has been something that has affected them in the games we have covered here at North Metro TV. They have some lights out servers in their unit, but they can also have a difficult time with location. So a little bit of Jekyll or Hyde, feast or famine, yin and yang comes into play. And in what is not a good sign for Blaine, Shashi Zhang on crutches. He has his right ankle iced up. I suspect we will not see him for the rest of this game. He gave Blaine that early spark plug when they were leading up until late in the first set. We'll have to see how that holds up. Shashi coming in wasn't one of the leaders offensively. He only had 50 kills, but certainly an integral part of that front line. The senior opposite hitter. As we get ready for set two, the two sides will stay where they are. Ever since the pandemic, it has been up to the team's discretion after we cleared that on whether or not they want to switch or stay on the same side. Farah gets an attack from the middle. To start set number 2. Again, Spring Lake Park, the favorites in this matchup. When you look at the metrics, Atticus Molitor serving. Blaine playing it close. Lee to Farah. 2 for 2. Bilal Farah did not score often in set 1, just had the 1 kill. Looking pretty spry here. He's hitting 240. And even the attackers who aren't among the leaders, as you got a glimpse of that last point, they're all hitting well. 264, Remy Zhang, Atticus Molitor 215, Woodford 250, Farah 240. I think those are numbers you'll take. Blaine just misjudged it, misplayed it. Tough break there for Larson. Spring Lake Park getting exactly what they want to start set 2, and that will be a net ace, or should I say lead ace. Either way, Atticus Molitor puts another point in Spring Lake Park's column. The Panthers rocketing to a 4-0 start. We've seen them work their way through adversity before in the Centennial game earlier this year. Another good serve from Molitor. Blaine able to catch up to it. Zhang, yes. Blaine takes an early timeout. Spring Lake Park scoring the first 5 points. Zhang unofficially with his 5th kill, and we've seen what Spring Lake Park does when they're trailing, how they bounce back. If they're up 5-0, that's probably not the spot you want to find yourself in if you're a Spring Lake Park opponent. As you get a look at the huddle. Shelly Deegan, the head coach of Spring Lake Park. And this is something you may have seen for boys volleyball in its first year. There have been a few cases of women's coaches leading these groups. But again, this sport existed long before this year. There is Shelly Deegan. It was in club form, so a lot of the athletes participating today and across the state, as we take another look at Shashi Zhang. There's the ice on his ankle. And again, likely sideline for the rest of this one. Molitor misfires. And that would be the first point for Blaine. But as I was going to say before we came out of the timeout, these athletes have been around the sport a long time. This is just the first opportunity they've had to etch themselves in state high school history books, because everyone's competing for that first ever state championship. As we get a cross-court shot from Larson that finds its way into the stands for a point. As time moves along, players will battle for season records and career records and single game records. But there will only be one first ever state champion. And these two schools are hoping their name might be on that list. Service error on Farah. And that will put Anthony Racek into the service position. Lee to Larson. Blaine picks that up, going to the right side. Lee again to Woodford, into the nets, and down for a point. And men like Woodford, Molitor, pretty much anyone who's a junior or senior, they won't have an opportunity to make a run at career records for their schools or state record books in all likelihood. compared to the freshmen or sophomores, but that is going to be fun to watch as time moves along, as we get a quick strike from the middle and a point for Kevin Yang, the senior. The first kill of set 2. Another point as Spring Lake Park collided with the net. Or I should say, Blaine served it into the net. And Jean hits it back into the net. Eight for the score. Molitor. And it's sent back. Now Spring Lake Park changes direction. Yang to Brower. Did not cross.
Serving number 23, Gabe Molitor.
Gabe Molitor. A little off speed on that one. Yang to Brower, they'll try again. Farah gets under it. Molitor with the off-speed tap. Yang looking for the setter dump. But a double contact call gives the point to Spring Lake Park. The Panthers lost a couple games to North St. Paul and Egan at the Lakeville South Invitational last weekend. Brower. Molitor, that was Atticus, I should say, who got the up. Atticus with a couple of tries. Free ball coming to Spring Lake Park. Ben Lowe working as the setter in this instance. Here comes Brower. Trying to get a little heat. Net play. Goes to Spring Lake Park on the double contact call. And the Panthers are cruising. Here's another look. I say this all the time. Volleyball officials are some of the sharpest eyes around, because even in slow motion, I can't always pick up on the double contacts. I can't pick up on that play, though. A kill for Simon Tran. Blaine will use up their second timeout of set 2. In a sport as quick as volleyball, there are ways you can pick up on double contact, but to the naked eye, all I have to say is these volleyball officials, they know their stuff. I'm sure you've heard about the Thank a Ref campaign for years. It would especially be a go for volleyball. 12 for the score. And the difference here, Spring Lake Park was able to get on their offensive attack early, embrace it, lean into it, compared to the first set. Unofficially, they have 6 kills, Blaine with just 1, hence the 12-4 score. One of a few factors. Blaine also has a couple of ball handling errors on the double contact calls. But compare that to the first set, where Blaine got off to the early jump and found their lane. Spring Lake Park needed a little time. The Panthers were able to overtake the Bengals at the end of the first set, but you see the stark difference when a team like Spring Lake Park can establish themselves early in a set. And we haven't always seen that in the games we've covered here on North Metro TV. Low to Molitor. Had to tap it down. It was a little beyond his reach, and Atticus Molitor, who has no trouble slamming them, gives us a little bit of a finger roll, or the volleyball equivalent of it. 13-4. And Blaine striping off point after point. They stripe another one. It's Molitor again. This is what Blaine and a lot of the other powerhouses can do. Anders Larson gets one back. Blaine is going to need a lot more of that, though, trailing by 9. The best teams, we've seen it in girls volleyball, the Wyzettas, the Champlain Parks of the world. As look out, Vera. Wow. I don't know if I want to repeat that. As Danian Vang, I thought he was going to leap into the broadcast table and make me a part of the game more than I already am. 15-5. Vera got the point, by the way. Lee serving.
Point Panthers.
Another point for Spring Lake Park. Racek couldn't get that attacked across the net. From the back row, Larson having some success. This conference, for example, a tough one. Rogers, 4th in the state. Spring Lake Park and Anoka. As we have a service error on Blaine. Spring Lake Park and Anoka, 9th and 10th. Bloomington Jefferson, number 1. Eden Prairie, 2. But this conference, I feel like, will prime all of these teams. Atticus Molitor certainly primed. That's his 2nd ace of the set. This one, a no-doubter, didn't need any help from the net that time. He is 6th in the state in aces. Remy Zhang, number 3. And Atticus dropping these fastballs. 19-6. Or as the Space Jam scoreboard once said, kind of one-sided, isn't it? Atticus. Let's see how hard his velocity goes on this one. Paints the line. His 3rd ace and his 2nd on this trip in the service rotation. Just painted that line. Chalk up another one. When you can get that type of speed and location down, you can see how extremely excruciating it is to contain, to react, to get a serve receive, because that's like a 95-mile-an-hour plus fastball coming at you. Sometimes your best hope is that, waiting for Molitor to bump it into the net, but he netted 3 aces before doing so. For those of you who have played baseball or softball, I think you know what I'm talking about. You get those heaters, as we have a service error on Cooper Brower. You have extremely little time to react. Now here's something you don't see. That's Enrique Caleros Reyes. He's going to get a chance at serving. Blaine up 22-7, so, or I should say Spring Lake Park up 22-7. 23-7 on the hitting error by Anders Larson. Why not give some of your backups some reps? See what they can do. Will be an error. Caleros Reyes, but he gets an encouraging return to the bench. You know what, when you're up big, why not take a chance, see what your backups can do? You never know when you'll need them. Molitor gives up a point. Although what Anthony Racek did is probably what I would do if I were facing an Atticus Molitor attacking attempt. I would just duck. Just the first hitting error on Spring Lake Park in this set. And that is another difference, maybe not as noticeable as the offense, the attacking game, but just one error for Spring Lake Park.
Serving set point number 7, and low.
4 for Blaine in this set. And Lowe will have 15 set points to work with. Kevin Yang scores from the middle, now 14. I wouldn't tremble in fear just yet if I was a Spring Lake Park fan, though. You've got 2 touchdowns before you have to start sweating. I don't think it's going to be that difficult, but we'll see. This is an untimed sport, you just never know. That dig nearly went into the ceiling. And Yang gets one off of Molitor. And even if this isn't enough to get you a set victory, I've talked about this a lot. If you can end with some momentum at the close of a set, it can carry over to the next one, since the margin of victory does not apply. Yang scores in the teardrop. Kingston Yang, that is, and Blaine getting 3 in a row. This is what I'm talking about. Pick up a few points, regain some momentum, and use that to fuel a run, perhaps to start the next set. But Spring Lake Park will capture it on the off-speed attack by Simon Tran. They started early, didn't let up, 25-12. Spring Lake Park on their way to win number 21 on the season.
For decades, I've taught you everything I know. How to safely build a fire, and how to control the flames. But I can only teach wildfire prevention. Only you can prevent wildfires.
Set number 3 about to commence here at Blaine High School. In one of our favorite spring sports, because it's indoors. It has been a wet stretch of days here in the Twin Cities area. And the floodgates opening widely for Spring Lake Park's offense as we nearly broke the scoreboard. The serve by Zhang that goes down as an ace was deflected into the scoreboard, and if that had gone down, well, that would sum up Spring Lake Park's offensive might these last couple of sets, wouldn't it? Blaine gets a big boost, though, from Anthony Racek. Zhang picking up his first ace, but in that second set, unofficially a 10-6 advantage in kills for Spring Lake Park. 4 errors for Blaine, just 1 for Spring Lake Park. And that's why they were able to win 25-12 on senior night here in Blaine. We saw a few signs go up. Molitor mistimed the jump. It happens to the best of us, and he and Zhang having a word. Gotta shake it off. Remember, Spring Lake Park came back from 8 points down in set 1. And now Atticus, look out, run for cover. He's serving again. Let's see how much heat he puts on this one. Blaine able to pick it up. Gabe with the up. Zhang up the middle. Point Panthers.
Point Panthers.
Ames Rotzenberg nets his first point of this one. That is just his 9th kill. Molitor again. We'll have another chance to serve on the error by Brower, who just didn't put enough on it. But that last serve receive ricocheted off the curtain above us, above the floor area. All the equipment in harm's way. Molitor won't get a chance there, a rotation violation.
Cooper Brower back to serve for Blaine.
Gives Blaine a free point. Much the delight of the equipment here. And Brower commits a service error of his own. So no harm, no foul. Spring Lake Park up 5-3. If you just joined us on YouTube or on North Metro TV, Shashi Zhang was hurt late in the first set with apparent ankle injury. He's on the bench, iced up. Won't play the rest of the way. Anders Larson scoring on the cross-court shot. The second set was all Spring Lake Park, gone off to that 5-0 start. As we take a look at what happens when you give those front row attackers a prime set. That finds a spot inside the field of play. And Racek with his first ace. The service game, not as strong of an aspect, an element for Blaine as it is Spring Lake Park. They didn't have anyone over 20 in the ace category entering tonight compared to Spring Lake Park, where you've got Atticus and Zhang. Spring Lake Park scores, or I should say Blaine scores. Blaine up 6-5. This is what they needed. They did score 3 in a row before Spring Lake Park took that second set. Just outside. For a second, I thought Racek was going to net another ace for himself. Could not do so. This is Simon Tran. Yang to Yang. Kingston to Kevin. And that connection paying off.
Elvin Ruffle back to serve.
Seven, 6, Blaine up. Woodford through the middle and down.
White Panthers, Woodford.
Again, these two teams in Section 7. In fact, all three of our schools are in Section 7. Which will make playoffs easier to follow. They're all in the same group. But because it's a one-class sport, there are some lopsided sections in terms of number of participants. The referees are going to talk with the line judges. What happened, Anders Larson, when he received the ball, it went off of the equipment. And Larson chatting with the official. It was ruled Spring Lake Park point. And I see Sam Christofferson, and you do as well, talking with the second referee, the down ref. A rather perplexing moment in set 3 and in this contest. And back to action with the score 7-7. Well, whatever Blaine felt about it, they're channeling it into their offense as Kevin Yang scores again.
Anders Larson back to serve.
Yang able to work it up front, and they follow that up with an ace.
White Bengal.
Anders Larson, his first, 9-7. Overpass on the serve, receive, and a net violation. Blaine crossed, or should say Spring Lake Park crossed, and Blaine crosses off another point. When you have two schools in blue, they can sometimes blend together in unexpected ways. (10-7). Blaine scoring 3 in a row. Woodford gets on that overpass. As we've stated before, the Panthers quite proficient when it comes to playing out of deficits. Spring Lake Park didn't get the rotation, the substitution in time. You saw Shelly Deegan urging a couple of players to get in position. Dion Yang was nowhere near where he needed to be when Spring Lake Park put the ball in play. A rare unforced error, and Blaine back up 11-8. But this is a heady Spring Lake Park team. They do not get discouraged by deficits, as we have seen this season. But Blaine with the upper hand. Zhang, the Molitor. Big up, that draws big applause as Buffo keeps the play alive. Molitor again, off the block and down.
White Panthers.
I say once Atticus got through his early stumbles in the first set, he has been a valued, vaunted, ferocious asset, as he typically is for Spring Lake Park. The down ref is talking to the scores table. To what they are speaking, I cannot say for sure. Now Shelly Deegan being summoned. Looking around, just about everyone on this side of the bleachers where I'm at has the same feeling I do, and that is one of uncertainty. Not sure what is being discussed, what the stoppage is about. And we don't have a way of procuring any parts of these conversations. 11-9, we are ready to resume play. And Remy Zhang, who's had to wait a good minute, nearly puts down an ace. Now he goes into a set position again. Zhang, one of those do-everything players. Blaine trying to get one back. Zhang to Molitor. Back row dig by Larson. Back row attack by Larson. Dug by Zhang. Low. Excuse me, Tran. Now Molitor. Brower. Left it soft. Didn't put enough on it. And after a frenetic rally, it ends with a Spring Lake Park point, and you saw Brower just tap it a little too softly. Zhang into the net. Unofficially, his fourth service error.
Kingston Yang back to serve.
Blaine trying to work their way back without one of their leaders, as Molitor scores off the block again.
Point Panthers.
Atticus Molitor, the junior.
Molitor back to serve.
I think it's going to get really exciting over these next few weeks once we get to section play. Cooper Brower with an exciting kill. Went past the block and gave Molitor not much he could do there. Brower going around the block. That's what you call a good heads-up reaction. There is Ben Lowe, who gets one back for the Panthers. We're in the middle stages of set 3, and it remains a close one.
Back to serve number 6, Dion Yang.
Blaine leading by as much as 3 in set 3. Looking for the tie here. They'll get it on the cross-court set to Anders Larson. Larson, he's been averaging 2 kills a set in this one. Leads the team in that category. Molitor with the serve receive. Woodford dug it himself, but a free ball headed for Blaine. Yang to Larson. Molitor with a punching up. But Blaine will get another good attacking chance. Big hits. And that will not come back. Cody Schultz gets on the board. And Schultz, one of those players who hasn't done much scoring throughout the season. In fact, his hit percentage is 0 right now because he has more errors than kills. Rocek with the service error.
12, Simon Tran.
That's the 4th on Blaine. If they clean that up, Blaine would be in a real good spot to take this set. And Simon Tran ends up serving it into the net himself. So Blaine holding on to a 3-point lead. Both teams trading service errors right now. Buffo hit that one too hard. And as we make our way through this third set, we have a couple questions. Is this the frame where Blaine stands up and stands their ground? Or does Spring Lake Park get fired up at the prospect of another challenge? Larson scoring again for the Bengals. Zhang tapped it to Woodford. Blaine was ready. And it will be Larson again. His 4th kill. And Blaine up by 4. Spring Lake Park holding on to their timeouts. Larson with the service error, and again, if the Bengals clean that up, they might have set 4 or set 3, or at least would be awfully close to it. 6 service errors. Woodford drops an ace. His first since the first set. (18-16). That one a little long. 19-16. Zhang played the net ball. Free ball coming for the Bengals. Yang to Brower. Got it. Blaine with their best offensive showing so far. 2016. And SLP still holding on to their timeouts. Molitor got it inside.
Molitor with the kill. Bringing Jones back to serve.
Blaine still needs 3 sets to win it. Taking set 3 is the big first step. And Cooper Brower with a shot down the middle puts Blaine 1 step closer.
Kingston back to serve for Blaine.
Blaine didn't jump out to a big lead like they did in the first set, but perhaps more importantly, they're not allowing Spring Lake Park to run away or go on that big run like we saw in the first 2 sets. That allowed the Panthers to overtake Blaine in set 1 and then run away with set 2, winning that one 25-12. But we did see Blaine score 3 in a row to close the second set, and we see a block from Brower. 22-17. It looks like we're going to be here just a little bit longer unless Spring Lake Park can really lock in. That could help. Watsonberg and Atticus Molitor combined for the block. Now here's where it could get interesting. Atticus, again, one of the leaders in the state in aces, but he also has quite a few errors.
Point Panthers.
That hit the antenna. (22-19). We saw Molitor really lock in the second set. Blaine able to read his serves more effectively here in set 3. A misfire on Ben Lowe. And Blaine 2 points away from taking set 3.
Cooper Brower back to serve.
Low again, off speed. Kingston Yang on the up. Schultz. Molitor from the back row. That is what makes him so dangerous, so potent. Those line drives of his, a valued asset here at Spring Lake Park. Molitor jamming up Blaine. Is it too late for the Panthers, or do they have another gear? 2-point margin. Brown. I should say Larson. On the cut. The best set for Larson so far. 5 kills and 3 set points for the Bengals, who haven't really wavered. Off speed, knocked back. Inside, Simon Tran makes it 24-22.
Serving the Panthers, number 1, Hector Lee.
Found no man's land in the back row along the corner. Schultz closes it out, and we're going to be here for at least one more set. Blaine never wavered, never faltered in set 3 after getting that slight lead, and they will at least force a 4th set. Still have some work to do, but that mountain just got a little less steep. We're back in a moment.
We in Spring Lake Park believe in building a strong and safe community. Our city moves onward and upward while holding on to our traditions and roots. We maintain a small town feel even though we are nestled next to the big city. We believe in being good neighbors and building community with safe neighborhoods. And we believe in citizenry and promote being active both physically and socially. We in Spring Lake Park love to play and believe in having an abundance of parks, playgrounds, and green space so that everyone can take a moment to enjoy the natural beauty that surrounds us. We believe in educating our children well, so we use the most advanced tools of learning to ensure continued success and bright futures. We promote athletics to keep our children fit and healthy and build a sense of teamwork. We in Spring Lake Park believe in providing a good, stable home for industry and small business to thrive. We have a large variety of successful businesses that have found continued success and benefit from excellent visibility off Highway 65. and a large customer base as we are located only 15 minutes outside of downtown Minneapolis. Come visit us in Spring Lake Park and you will see why we believe our city is one of a kind.
We come from a long line of farmers, and there's a sense of pride, but there's also a significant amount of pressure.
Farmers have to take care of their physical and their mental health, because what's a farm without a farmer?
Watching the sun come up, that's my time. I can have a cup of coffee, and every day is a new opportunity.
That's cool.
Your hand's gotten so
Yay!
Don't forget to check in on yourself. Love your mind.
What happened in set 3 that gave Blaine the 25-22 nod over Spring Lake Park? A big shift in the attacking game. Blaine unofficially 13 kills in set 3. Spring Lake Park with 9, and that is what helped Blaine stave off any real rally from Spring Lake Park and force this into at least a 4th set. Intriguingly, neither side called a timeout. I was a little surprised Spring Lake Park didn't use one when they found themselves down, but I'm here, not there. And had it not been for 6 service errors, I think Blaine would have wrapped up set 3 a little sooner. But they get one on Spring Lake Park, and it's not always easy when you have to take on a ranked opponent. We talked about the Northwest Suburban fielding several of them in this first year. Boys volleyball as a sanctioned sport. Spring Lake Park, again, they've locked up the 1 seed in all likelihood when the seedings are released in Section 7. But a win for Blaine could carry some significance. And I'll explore that in a moment as we have an extended rally to open set 4 that ends with a tap by Atticus Molitor, the libero, registering a kill. He doesn't get many of them. That was his 10th on the year.
And it's an ace for Molitor.
And the other Molitor scores what we have as his 5th ace. And then he hits it into the net. But he did get 1 ace out of that. Now Blaine, as we said, do they have more to play for? A win would certainly help their cause, but Andover currently in line to get the 2nd seed based on QRF as Jean scores on the line shot. And this is where things maybe could get interesting, because Spring Lake Park lost to Andover in their first and only meeting of the regular season. Atticus Molitor now gets an ace. Shortly after, Gabe did. Gabe and Atticus both recording aces in the 4th set. Larson making the play now. Jean with the off-speed line shot. Gabe still serving. That play. Atticus with the up. A setter dump, we haven't seen that often. Woodford trying for it. Yang, Brower, back row, yes! So I'm looking at this, and again, a Blaine win probably won't leapfrog them above Andover for that 2nd seed, but it could make the 1st seed a little more interesting. Blaine has to win 2 more sets to do so. Cross-court kill for Colin Larson. And by my count, that is his first kill since the second set. Now here's why the seeding could get interesting with the Blaine win, even if they can't move up. You would have Spring Lake Park with losses against the top 2 teams behind them, the 2 and 3 seeds in Andover and Blaine, as we saw Kevin Yang scoring for the Bengals. And so while the Panthers are positioned to get that 1 spot, losses to the potential 2 and 3 seeds could make things a little more interesting. And the coaches need up to vote. Anders Larson puts another one off the arm of Atticus Molitor. Spring Lake Park up 6-4, but Blaine giving them the battle. Jean. Rejected by Larson. Gabe on the service seat had to backpedal. Back and forth we go. Yang. Brower back row off speed. Zhang with the up. Simon Tran getting a couple of chances along the left side. Free ball coming for Blaine. Overpass leads to a net play. Spring Lake Park wanted a ball handling call, and instead we have the student section running for life. And the photographer running for dear life. I probably should have done the same. Let's take another look. Yeah. 7-5 the score in favor of Spring Lake Park. Make it 8-5. Nobody there to pick up the set. I don't think Atticus Molitor will complain. Zhang winds up and delivers a laser. Woodford sent away. Zhang has to race back to get it. Free ball for Blaine. Yang to Yang. Yes! I'm not entirely sure if the two are related. There are only a certain number of groups, they call them clans in Hmong culture, so you get a lot of common surnames as a result, but a service error on Larson siphons the energy from this building, at least for the moment. 9-6 though, and no panic button time yet for either side. And back-to-back errors on Larson. Spring Lake Park up by 4. Blaine will take a timeout, and I don't blame Sam Christopherson. This could be one of those danger zones for a group as effective as Spring Lake Park. We've seen the speeds they clock on their attacks. You don't want to give a team like that momentum. A win for Spring Lake Park would put them at 21 for the year, and remove any doubt, if there was one, about taking the 1 seed in Section 7. But we'll have to see how things shake out when we get to sections in state. You have some interesting groupings because it's a single class sport. So in Section 7, for example, You've got Mounds View in the field, and there's Sam Christopherson. I don't think Mounds View ever shares a section with Blaine or Spring Lake Park typically. But Blaine will share in the joy of getting a point out of the timeouts. Cooper Brower scores. And then over in section 2, Eden Prairie and Bloomington Jefferson, the top 2 teams, they're in the same group. You don't see that often either. Tran scores for the Panthers. What I'm trying to say is you're going to have some wild and exciting, thrilling section finals, presumably, if you do get Jefferson and Eden Prairie playing each other over in 2. And in section 7, that's not a guarantee either. Hector Lee just missed. Remember, Andover has wins against Blaine and Spring Lake Park, so even if Spring Lake Park does get the 1 seed, Andover has that regular season victory. Farah couldn't find the corner on the back row. And now it's 11-9. Blaine getting a few points here. Atticus Molitor trying to right the ship. Blaine catches up to it. Overpass, Molitor sends it back, it bounces off the curtain again. But Blaine able to respond. It is one advantage, even though a lot of these gyms don't have high clearances. And that will be a kill for Jean. And another moment where the photographer and I were both watching to see if we would have to cover ourselves. Take a look at this. It comes off the deflection. I think the photographer deserves some hazard pay. Atticus Molitor just misses on the serve. Unofficially 5 service errors, also 5 aces, 12-10. Still a tight one. Farah sent away. Gabe will set for Larson. And Colin Larson can't connect. If this is a preview of a potential section round, it would likely be a final for these two if they are 1 and 3. As Larson is able to disrupt Blaine enough to score a point. But if this is a preview of what's to come, I think we've seen what Blaine can do. Really, it's not giving up those big runs. If they can do that, they can hang with some of the top dogs. 13-11. The attack by Anders Larson did not cross. And for Spring Lake Park, they played well. As Gabe adds another ace. They played well. Their burning question, can they win the big one? No one's safe from the Molitors or anyone else. But a service error hands control back to Blaine. Lee near the net, able to stay away. Schultz. Annika Molitor with the dig. Larson again, right side. Got just enough to go over Brower and down. But to finish up my prior point, Spring Lake Park, they lost to Anoka and Andover, who have been ranked most of the year. They lost to Rogers in 4 sets. Rogers in the top 5. North St. Paul and Egan, a little more defeats as Victor Gwynn serves that out of bounds. So Spring Lake Park, they have the ingredients in place, you would think. But a couple losses to Rogers and defeats to Andover and Anoka again. Will pose the test. Can they win the big one? The section bracket could be their first opportunity, especially if they do get Andover. Simon Tran finds the corner. Yang to Larson, tries the liner. Wynn was ready. Tran scores another one. Simon Tran coming on strong here in set 4. And just a couple of kills in the first 3 sets. He has 3 here. Jean. In his reaction, suggested he either didn't believe what just happened or was admiring his placement. Either way, Zhang gives Spring Lake Park a 6-point lead, 19-13. And Blaine using their final timeout. Again, this will be our final regular season broadcast of the spring, but stay tuned for updates on spring sports playoff coverage. Softball underway this week. Baseball will start next week. Boys volleyball and lacrosse all on tap. As we wrap up the school year, graduations are nearing, and don't forget, we'll have live coverage of the graduations as well on North Metro TV in June, and once again in July. Hopefully we'll get to bring you another year of USA Cup from the National Sports Center. That's one of our annual rituals. Spring Lake Park trying to start a ritual of winning the regular season finale for the first time as a high school sanctioned team. Molitor to Molitor. Yang to Larson. Play at the net. Everyone's scrumming for it. Blaine, I thought they had won it, but a save by Woodford keeps the rally going. Blaine finishes them off. Kevin Yang with a much needed point after the timeout. Woodford rises, fires, and hammers it home. His first kill of set 4. But looking at the numbers for Spring Lake Park, they've been getting it done all around. As Woodford drops an ace, Blaine reclaiming authority here in this 4th set. Molitor 9 kills unofficially. As we get an off-speed tap from Brower to try to keep this set alive. Eight kills for Zhang. Annika Molitor, 5 aces. Zhang has a couple. Gabe Molitor is 4. everyone getting in on the action. I'm not kidding. Malone Guimond. Occupied the middle and utilized his height to full effect.
Lee back to serve for the Panthers.
Earlier we had talked about Spring Lake Park responding to a challenge, even though they weren't able to win in straight sets. I'd say this was an emphatic response in the fourth set. And just as I say that, John hits it out of bounds, of course.
Cody Schultz back for Blaine. Kingston getting back to serve.
But the big difference here, the service game in set 4. Each set has brought a different flavor to it, a different storyline that has played out for who wins and by how much. As Larson hits it out of bounds, the fourth hitting error. But Spring Lake Park, their biggest advantage, the service game, 5 aces unofficially. Blaine has not recorded a single one. But another rotation violation gives Blaine a free point. And now the margin within 4. That's 3 in a row for Blaine by my count. And now the task a little less daunting. Yang to Brower. The cut goes behind the SLP bench. And Blaine making a fight of it. Like we said, this may be a possible section preview with both schools in 7. And this kind of resilience from Blaine could play a big part in a rematch. Brower off speed. Larson got under it. Atticus Molitor. 2 Bengals nearly collide on the up. Lead to Larson. Molitor slaps it back, but out of bounds. Molitor had Blaine off guard and couldn't put it home. 5 straight for Blaine. And now the prospect of a 5th set no longer seems far-fetched. Line shot, Cody Schultz. Timeout, Spring Lake Park. 6 straight for Blaine. And while Spring Lake Park's service game has been their edge, Blaine with a big advantage as of late in the attacking game. That has really come together in these last 2 sets. Like we said, there are section implications here, even if Blaine can't leapfrog Andover. And based on QRF, that likely won't occur. But if you beat Spring Lake Park, does that give the #1 seed to Andover? Because the Andover Huskies would have wins over these 2. If nothing else, the confidence Blaine would get if they could pull off the reverse sweep. They have to close out and win set 4 and then win a 5th set. Can you imagine the vibes, the mood, the euphoria that would ensnare the Bengals should they pull it off? They trailed 22-15. A 6-0 run has made this another nail biter. Molitor.
Point. Panthers. Oliver with the kill.
Attempting to reestablish the anchor. They go back to the service position. This time he just hit it right in front of Larson. But he hits it into the net on the serve. His 3rd service error It's a 1-point game again, 23-22. It's only a regular season game, but this brings back memories of the wild, frenetic battle between Centennial and Anoka in the 7-4A girls final that I covered back in the fall. Cooper Brower makes this a 23-23 game, and Spring Lake Park will use their final timeout. Like we said, when you trail by 6, 7, 8, those are not easy deficits to overcome, or at least conventional wisdom would have you believe that. Blaine overcoming a 7-point deficit. Spring Lake Park overcame an 8-point deficit early in the first set. You just never know with untimed sports. But Blaine's attacking game kicking up a notch over these last couple of sets. And Spring Lake Park being pushed to the limit. There was that one runaway set they secured. 23-all. This is a big point. Yang to Brower, into the net. Just the third hitting error for Blaine, but not a good time. And you've got Gabe Molitor, who has a couple of aces in this set, to try to close it out. Match point for the Panthers. Larson on the line shot. We'll have extras since you have to win by 2. You have to admire the spirited effort out of Blaine. Another error. This time, Wachek serves it into the net. Blaine overall has played a clean game. Just 3 hitting errors, 2 service errors. But these miscues are coming at highly inopportune times. Another match point chance. This time, Victor Gwynn will serve. He's got his share of aces too. Let's see what he does here. Schultz. Marcus Molitor with the up. Zhang off the block. Spring Lake Park escapes with a 4-set win. And Remy Zhang running all the way around the court. A spirited effort by Blaine, but Spring Lake Park hangs on and likely locks up the 1 seed in Section 7 with a 4-set victory over Blaine. But the deflection went out of bounds, and Remy knew it as soon as the ball dropped. So Spring Lake Park ends the regular season 21-7. Blaine ends at 13-10. Could these two face each other again in sections? We'll have to wait. But Spring Lake Park, at the very least, will secure the 1 seed, I suspect, and give themselves that first round bye in Section 7. Spring Lake Park beats Blaine in 4 sets on this edition of High School Boys Volleyball on North Metro TV.